Hello guys, welcome back to a new video from the channel. Today we are going to talk about an architecture pattern called retry and a definition called idempotence. These two definitions are used in order to gain more resilience in an architecture environment. So at first glance, I will explain a little introduction about this topic. Then I will explain about retry and give you guys a little example how it works. And after that, I will explain how it works idempotence in order to gain resilience in an architecture using a retry. So at the beginning, I want to clarify that there's a lot of ways to implement these strategies and these architecture patterns. So I will be focusing just in a theoric way. So it's up to you decide how to implement these patterns. Okay. So how it works? Retry. Imagine that a caller sends a request to a service A, and service A needs to send a request to a service B. But after service B process that request, or before processing that request, service A receives an error in the 500 family. So service A really don't know if service B processed correctly or not that request. So after that, service A respond with an error to the caller. So this is a typical scenario. This is really normal. So how can we gain here a little resilience in our system? So let's imagine using retry that a caller sends a request to a service A, and after that service A sends a request to a service B. But service B, or something a layer before service B, respond with an error 500 to the service A. But in order not to respond to the caller with an error, service A try again to send that request to a service B. So service A retry that request, and after that service B process correctly and respond to service A, and service A respond to the caller. So retry has a condition in order to run in the software, an interval in order to process. So for example, after maybe 1 second of receiving an error, service A retry that request to service B. How many attempts service A can retry before responding to the caller an error is something that depends on the technology that you use, that you can configure. And backoff it's a configuration, it's a pattern that in retry that, for example, in order not to retry that request at the same time, we configure a backoff, so we can, for example, retry a request after some time. So the first retry, maybe we can retry after 1 second. The second retry, maybe we can do the retry after 1.5 seconds, and so on, in order not to do all the retries at the same time. Exists a lot of other configurations that maybe it will be nice if you go forward to try to study that. I remember that exists another that's called Shitter, that maybe has the same use that the backoff, but in a different way. It's a different concept. So in this topic, the retry works as I explained. Service A, when receives an error, you configure the condition, what kind of error service A will retry to send to the service B. Okay, and how it works idempotence here is a really important definition that comes with retry. For example, let's think that a caller sends a request to a service A. After that, service A sends a request to service B, and service B responds with an error 500 to service A, and after that, service A retry that operation to service B. But what happened here? If we have a 500 error that service A receives, we really don't know if service B processed correctly or not. Why we don't know? Maybe I can explain that in another video. But in the definition of an error 500, we really don't know if service B processed correctly or not. So that's why we make that retry. But if we think that service B processed correctly, the retry maybe will duplicate the information in the database. So here enter the concept of idempotence. Idempotence is to guarantee that that service B will process just one time that request. So the request that service A sends to service B must have an idempotence ID, and with that ID, service B can look in their database if that request just being processed or not. So in that case, that service B really processed that request, they must respond the call, the request, with the same response as they would respond the first time. So even if I retry a lot of times to service B must respond to the caller in the same way, in the same matter. So that it's called idempotence, that it came from a mathematical function that with the same variable you need to have the same results. Okay, hope that this definition is clear. It's really important in software and system design. And thank you a lot for watching the video, and please subscribe to the channel, and hope you see you in the next video. Bye.